the fuck out of bed, bitch. Go. Get up, and then they got go. Time to wake up, bitch. Get up. Get up. Get up.
What's up? What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another live stream. How's the audio sound before we get started? How's everyone doing today? Wyatt, welcome back. John, welcome. Lexi, welcome. Burial, welcome to the stream. Party time, yes. Curdy Mac, welcome back. Welcome back, my friend. Cheers, KDK. Cass has so much happening now and into the future. That is a cold, hard fact, my dude. An absolute fact. Everybody get your comments or your questions in, and we'll read them a little bit later. Also, I think I finally have gotten super chats to work. So if you want to pay me some money, that option is now there. Obviously, I don't need any money from you guys, but let's see. What I want to talk about today is obviously the Caspa price is pumping for sure, and here we go. Let's kind of go over where we're sitting because we've got two things technically going on right now. We just had a death cross, and usually we get a rally after a death cross. So this is, in theory, probably the post-death cross rally. I don't actually think that this rally is going to take us back to all-time highs. I think the scenario with Caspa and altcoins, for instance, is not going to really get going until quantitative tightening stops. And so I think there's a chance that we get another pullback. So, I mean, obviously, let's have our fun now. We haven't seen 10 cents in a while. And it's good to see green candles because Caspa in general has been, sideways for it seems like ever at this point. So double digits back up to 10 cents is a breath of fresh air, if nothing else. And then we also have the crescendo hard fork, obviously, that is coming up in, I believe, 12 days, 10 days, something like that. I'll pull up the little tracker in a few, but it's somewhere around there, a couple of weeks away. And I believe that we are going to pump a little bit into that and probably have a little sell-off after it. So as of May 5th, in theory, based on history of these kind of events, we should see a sell-off afterwards. So that, in my opinion, would be the next time to potentially buy or DCA back in. Depending on how far we run up beforehand, though, depends on how far price will fall back down. But when it's all said and done, it's nice to look at the portfolio when things are pumping like they are. I think we are, like I've said in previous streams, the monetary policy is kind of rolling in the right direction. We haven't gotten the exact things that we want to happen yet, but it looks like on the horizon we can kind of see everything start to fall into place. And so we're just going to have to wait and play it by ear because, if we get this alt season, it's going to be big. And it's, I think, going to be fast and sharp. So we got to stay on our heels, stay on our toes, I guess you should say, not heels. Stay on your heels, you're not going to react fast enough. Stay on your toes, you're going to react fast enough. So let's see here. So Caspa's up at a little over 10 cents, and actually we are holding above 10 cents. We closed, I believe, above 10 cents yesterday, and it looks like we're going to close above 10 cents again, so that's a good sign. And up 6%. As far as the rest of the market goes, over the last 24 hours, everything, well, actually, some things are starting to come down again. So, again, this is, yeah, you've got anywhere from, negative 0.5% to, 6 or 7% up positive, and Caspa is in the positive 6% range, which is actually performing better than the rest of the market over the last 24 hours. And I have a feeling that has to do with the crescendo hard fork coming up in a couple weeks. So I think we're going to continue to outperform the rest of the market up until that point, and then we might correct. So just keep an eye on that because I don't know that this pump is actually going to hold and bring us to new all-time highs. I think we have to wait till the middle of the year before we start seeing something like that. We've also got to look at Bitcoin. So we've had this pump, right, outside of the death cross, and I still think that we are going to have a double bottom here and potentially go back down into the low 70s or maybe wick into the high 60s. I still think that that is on the table, and I still think that that is a probability at this point, and I project it's going to happen around the exact time of quantitative tightening ending. So whether that be next month, whether that be June or July, I don't know. But I think the next few months are going to be a little choppy, and we might actually see a double bottom within that period of time. So keep an eye out for that as well. Let's see here. How's the picture, you guys? It's telling me the stream quality is not that great. Am I still live? Guys, help. Am I still live? Let's see. Let me check it on my end since no one's responding. How's the picture, you guys? Okay. Okay. So, as you know, I had a few recent videos this past week, and let's all spam FU Grayscale in the comment section, because literally less than 24 hours after I made the video of Grayscale re-adding Caspa to assets under consideration, it removed it again, and guess what? It added back Mantra, the rug pull, which is down here for you guys to see. Right there where I just highlighted. I don't know what the hell's going on with this Grayscale stuff, but it almost sounds like or feels like there's just something going on with their website. And like the behind the scenes stuff is, things are adding and taking away and adding and taking away. Maybe they need to get that fixed behind the scenes before start doing this. But I can't imagine they're keeping Mantra in this assets under consideration category. So I still think there's an issue here, because why pull that, add Caspa back, and then completely reverse course and remove Caspa, an actual project with utility and best tokenomics since Bitcoin, and add back in a literal rug pull of the week prior. Doesn't make any sense to me. Anyways, we're going to keep an eye on that, but at this point, I'm not going to, get all excited and then not excited, and then all excited again and not excited. I'm just going to take it as it is. I don't necessarily think that Caspa needs Grayscale to flourish in the crypto space, although it would be, kind of a cool notch in the belt, if nothing else. So just wanted to reiterate that for you guys. I pinned a comment in that last video, but for those of you who did not see it, just in case you saw it after the fact, I wasn't lying. It was there for about 24 hours, and then it came back off again. So, also, my latest video with, I want to get this out of the way. The latest video I did with the Tangem Pay update, I actually got a where did it go here? So shout out to Crypto Fanatic on X, who actually linked me from the official Tangem website the sign up for the Tangem Pay waitlist. And so I have put that link down in the description of this video if you guys want to sign up and get on the waiting list for the very first batch of these Tangem Pay wallets that are going to come out, where, for those of you who don't know, it's linked up with Visa, and you're going to be able to spend your crypto that's in that wallet anywhere that Visa is accepted. You swipe, tap, whatever you're going to do, but it's going to be a mixture of a Tangem and a Visa card. And I imagine that you're going to have your regular Tangem wallets, and then you're going to transfer money into the other Tangem Visa wallet, and then from there, you're using that card to spend your money. So it should be a very easy, efficient way to take profits this cycle. It's rolling out in the EU first, in Europe, so I don't know that anybody else outside of Europe can even get on this waiting list, but for those of you in Europe, and I'm going to try to get on it anyways, being in the United States, and we'll see what happens. But the link is in the description down below. So go ahead and get signed up. And if you guys don't have an actual Tangem wallet yet, make sure you get one of those as well, because you're going to probably need one of those to link up with the Tangem Pay. Link for that official Tangem website's also in the description. If you guys want a wallet, use code CATDADDY at checkout. You'll get 10% off of the wallet. That being said, let's roll into some questions here. I'm going to turn this off. How are you guys feeling today as far as the market goes? It's been a while since we've had as much green as we have today. Lexi, what do you think? Or when do you think we will see the peak of the crypto cycle? This cycle is crazy. Yeah, this cycle is crazy, and the reason for it, when it's all said and done, is monetary policy. That's it. Okay, if you look back over time, the altcoins only run when monetary policy is going in the right direction, where we're at bare minimum, quantitative tightening has stopped, and in better situations, quantitative easing has started. So we're probably not going to see a legitimate altcoin season unless quantitative tightening stops, and in a perfect scenario, quantitative easing starts. And best case scenario, we see that this summer, right, in the next few months, and then it will potentially leave the second half of the year open for major gains in the altcoins. That would be a perfect scenario, perfect world. And if that happens, I would guesstimate that the cycle would end, roughly in November of this year, because that's typically when, majority of, or basically all the other cycles in Q4 of the post-halving year. So that's what I would be looking for. That's what I'm looking for. And if things still seem pretty tight, then it's going to be very tricky to know what to do. Do you sell at a little bit of profit and just get out of the market thinking a bear market's coming in 2026? Or do you think the cycle extends into 2026 and we get that altcoin season early 2026? Don't know. That's why we just have to be on our toes, like I said before, and kind of figure out and try to project ahead of what's going to happen. And monetary policy is the number one way of doing that. Okay, everyone says that the sound is okay and the video is okay, so that's good. I got into the Zeal, Curdy Mac, I got into the Zeal pre-buy. It was a bit crazy, but worth it. So is it actually over? Did they actually, I know it got delayed for the second time, but did it actually, I'm assuming it did since you bought some. I guess it would have happened today then, right? I think the Zeal token, the project said it wasn't actually the network that had the issues. It was the KASPA.com's website that was having the issue. So it didn't have anything to do with Caspa at all, or the Zeal token at all. I don't know if that's true because I'm not technically sound to actually know if that was the case or not. But, the first DEX on Caspa, potentially, it's got, a pretty good chance of doing some gains. So, congratulations to you for getting some of those tokens. I definitely did not, so you're one step ahead of me in that route. Franny, enjoying my Grey Goose Martini. Twist of lime. You know what? I don't know that I've ever in my life had a martini. I probably have at some point. I just don't remember. Okay, stream is fine. Stream is fine. Picture's good. Barry Alt, it's looking better than 2 months ago. Yeah, that's a fact. That is a fact. I think, the headwinds, I think we still have a little bit more headwinds, but I think we're moving closer to a clear path to, what we're all waiting for, what we've been in the market waiting for some of us 3 years now. Crypto Rob just joined the waitlist. Thanks for sharing. Yes. Crypto Rob, are you in Europe or are you elsewhere and we're able to join out of curiosity? And do you think we see a triple bottom with Caspa? Let me pull this up real quick because I'm obviously just going to be guessing here. That is not the right one. Okay. So let me pull this up. We had a double bottom here, right? We got one low here and another low here. If I were to take a guess, I think we're going to run up even more than this before the hard fork. And on the next leg down, which I think the whole market's probably going to have at some point in the next few months, my guess would be, since Caspa has been kind of underperforming as of late, I think that we are going to see a higher low. You know, maybe somewhere in the 6 or 7 cents range. Sorry, my nose itches. As a potential like bottom before we move back up. There's a solid chance we do see a triple bottom though. I'm not really a TA guy, so I'm not 100% sure here. But it seems like since Caspa kind of underperformed the last leg up that we had, when everything like Sui and Solana and all of them were kind of, you know, going minor parabolic, Caspa kind of underperformed and stayed pretty flat and sideways. So I think that there's actually a chance that we do see a pullback after the crescendo hard fork on May 5th, but I think it might be time at that point for Caspa to start outperforming again, like it did in the bear market, and kind of lead the market into the next leg of the bull run. But I also wouldn't be surprised if we did see a triple bottom and we go back down into the 5 cent range. Abraham, yeah, we won't see nothing crazy unless QE starts. Will be nice to see CAS break all-time high with 10 BPS hype. Yeah, I don't think it's going to get to its all-time high for this run-up. Although I could be wrong, I would love to see it, because that just gives us, if the market does dump again in the next few months, then that just gives us a higher, floor or a higher ceiling to drop from, where we probably would not get back down to those 5 cent ranges. But quantitative easing, and like I said, at bare minimum, quantitative tightening needs to stop. And then, in a perfect world, we see quantitative easing start, pretty close afterwards. And that is when things will really kick off. But remember, normally, when quantitative tightening stops, based on history, that is usually around where we see another crash in the market. Because for quantitative tightening to stop and for them to start reducing rates again, that means there is some sickness in the market, right? So normally things are not doing very well, which is why they are going to be pushed to stop quantitative tightening and start cutting rates again. So don't be surprised if we do see another leg down at some point. And Bitcoin actually, it might make a higher low as well, but there's a chance it double bottoms roughly around, low 70s, high 60s. Grayscale is playing games. I think they're trying to FUD people out. Yeah, I have no idea what they're doing. They're acting weird. And I don't think we're going to actually know until, well, I don't know if we'll ever know, to be honest. But like I said before, I don't think that they are going to make that big of an impact on Caspa's price action this bull cycle. So I know too many who sold everything. Glad I haven't touched any of it. Yeah, that's the thing is a lot of people. There's a reason why very few people make money in the markets in general, right? And crypto being super volatile, even less make money because they can't stomach, 20, 30, 40, 50% pullbacks, which is commonplace in crypto. And people get scared, let their emotions take over, and they end up panic selling for less than they bought it for, right? And then what a lot of them typically do is when the price starts going up again, because it always does, they'll buy back in at a higher price and FOMO back in, and, it's just like a stair-stepping kind of down for them when it's all said and done. And you don't really make a whole lot of money, if any at all, doing that. In fact, most people probably lose money doing that. So the best thing to do if, you don't have any money left to spend or, things get pretty sketchy in the markets is just hold on, right? Just relax, chill. I've been in crypto for long enough now where, even a 50% pullback is like nothing. It's another buying opportunity, especially depending on where we are in the cycle. So altcoins do that on every other Tuesday, it seems like. Thomas, if you didn't buy on the double bottom, you missed it. That's possible. That is possible. Like, for instance, if we rally back up to, close to all-time highs, then that, like I said, I still think we're going to have a pullback, but it could easily be a higher low. Right? Yeah, higher low. And so you're not going to get back down to the 5-cent range. Okay, so I joined the waitlist from the USA. Okay, so I'm going to be doing the same thing then, for sure. I just don't know how long we're going to have to wait if they're going to roll out in the EU first. We just might have to wait longer, but if our name is there, then I guess maybe we get first priority when they do branch out to the US. What do you guys think about Infamous not being here? Actually, I want to hear from you guys. Should I stop answering his questions on stream if he ends up showing up? Should I just skip right over him, or do you actually like when I answer some of his questions? Timbo, it's not too late to keep DCAing. Yeah, I agree with that. It's not really ever too late until we really start seeing the next leg up. and that all depends on your time horizon as well. Um, but I would say, for the average person, if they want to just start riding with their bags and potentially taking profits, then keep DCAing until quantitative tightening stops and or quantitative easing starts. And then we should, start to get our real run up. And at that point, I would just let my bags ride and start taking profits at certain points during that. But until then, we should still see some choppiness and some more downswings for good buying opportunities. Timbo, Zeal's on a good post pre-sale dip. Yeah, a lot of times too, those after the token launches, you'll have a lot of people sell because they're in a little bit of profit, and you'll get a huge dip. And then, in best case scenario, what you want to see with this, once we can actually, I don't think there's anywhere to view the charts yet, is there? Maybe on some sort of Caspa website, but I know it's not listed, I don't think, on CoinMarketCap yet. You want to see some consolidation at a certain level for, sometimes even, multiple months before the real, breakout starts. But usually somewhere between a couple days and a week after a coin launches is the best time to get in on it, because you'll have some sellers from the initial pre-sale or early buyers, depending on how the launch was rolled out. Top 10 BPS won't do much. Smart contracts is the key here. That will bring in tier 1s and more adoption. That's what might make CAS go closer to $1 to $3. But as for now, it's going to be between 10 to 20 cents. Yeah. So when there's any upgrade, like even if it's just a technical speed upgrade, you usually still get a bump in price leading up to that, and then a pullback afterwards. The whole buy the rumor, sell the news scenario. But yeah, I don't think it's gonna. I agree with you. I don't think it's gonna go over 20 cents for this upgrade. The upgrade's obviously good long term, but a lot of times price doesn't necessarily move on technical stuff. It moves on hype, and it moves on exchange listings, and it moves on adoption and people actually playing around in the ecosystem. And you're right, smart contracts will bring that, hopefully. And until we have them, right, it can't bring anything. But smart Eager Labs, I think this summer, so within the next 2 or 3 months, we should see smart contracts roll out via Eager Labs on Caspa. So, and then Sparkle will come after that, I believe, which is just another form of smart contracts. I think they're using Rust. I don't know what Eager Labs is using. Or maybe it's the other way around. But one of them's using Rust, and that'll be good for potential Solana developers to want to come over, because that's the coding language that Solana uses. So it'll be a very easy transition, and we'll see, if there's an incentive for devs to actually come over to Caspa. I have no idea what that means, Curdy Mac. Sorry, I'm Vihan. Kanos Life, we're not seeing 5 cents again. I'd be careful. Anything can happen. There's a solid chance that we don't, but I would not rule out anything in this market. especially since quantitative tightening is still plowing forward at this point. John has the same sentiment. We won't go back close to the bottom again. Some pullback around summer, but not a dramatic one. I'm not a moon boy. The reality is that we're heading into big blow off top this cycle. Yeah. Like I said, I don't think we're going to see 5 cents again. I think we're going to have a higher low, but I wouldn't rule out the fact that that does happen, if it does. Because we're still kind of sitting in a period where we need to work out the monetary policy side of things. And like I said, it looks like we're, seeing some things on the horizon that are going to lead us in a positive direction. But I think right around the time that quantitative tightening stops, we're going to see a pullback in the market. And whether Caspa does triple bottom or whether it makes a higher low is still to be seen. But I think it's going to be the higher low scenario, at least at this point. Abraham, at this point, unless we get another big dump, I'm not buying for the bag. That I plan to sell this bull run. I have a second Forever wallet. I'm buying $3 daily for that wallet. Yeah, I'm actually not buying anymore either. I did buy around 6 cents this last time because I honestly didn't think it was going to come back down there. And it did. So I wasn't forced to buy, but I couldn't pass up the deal. And my bags were already, in my mind full, and I wasn't going to do anything else. But, sometimes things happen and you go back on your word. But so I'm with you on the fact of I'm probably not buying anymore either unless we get really good discounts again, and I'm not sure that we're going to. But that $3 daily for a Forever wallet is not a bad idea. I kind of like that idea. Master Chief. Love the live streams. Much love from Boston. Much love, Master Chief. I appreciate you being here. Thanks for joining. Canada here. Welcome. Cooper, I'm hoping for a smooth launch with the 10 BPS. Yeah. I feel like it's going to go smoothly. And the reason I say that is because you've got Michael Sutton and Jonathan. Actually, I think Jonathan's directly involved with that upgrade. I could be wrong. But I trust Michael Sutton. And it's not... So it's the core devs, right? The guys who have been here, done that from the beginning, that are actually watching this through into the next phase. What has gone wrong, a lot of things have mislaunched. The Zeal token kind of being one of them. And then KRC20, mislaunched as well. But those are exterior companies that are building on top of Caspa. So when the core devs, Michael, Jonathan, and I can't remember the names of the other one or two. Sorry, that's my phone. I hope you guys didn't hear that. When those guys are the ones seeing this upgrade through into the next phase, I have a lot more confidence because they know what the hell they're doing, right? They were here from the beginning. This is their project that they created and that they have been working on for years now. And so I have some confidence that things will hopefully go smoothly based on them. So when is the Visa card coming out? There wasn't an exact date, but who was it? It was like the VP of something for Tangem that's heading up this project said that it was going to be very soon. So I would imagine sometime this summer we see it actually roll out. And remember, it's going to roll out, at least this is what he said, it's going to roll out into Europe first, into parts of Europe. And I hope it's successful there, and then it rolls out to, potentially the rest of the world or different countries in stages. Because I am definitely looking forward to that. The only thing that concerns me, or I guess it's not even a concern at this point, but I want to see what the fees are because we haven't heard anything about that. They're going to have some sort of fee when you spend because Visa is going to want their share of fees every time someone uses this card. And then what's the whole KYC aspect to it, right? How are taxes going to be part of this? Like, how are they going to... There's some behind-the-scenes stuff that I want to see worked out or at least brought to our attention before. But as a whole, the project seems very efficient and very exciting and a very easy way to take profits, right? Because, let's be honest, who wants to... Right, let's say you keep majority of your crypto in a Tangem wallet, okay? Let's say we have our blow off top. You have transferred or swapped all of your crypto into a stable coin or multiple stable coins in your Tangem wallet. Do you feel more comfortable sending, potentially hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, or millions of dollars in increments over to exchanges to then take that and transfer it into your bank account? And in order to do it a little more safely, you want to transfer smaller amounts, right? Less than $10,000, I would say, at a time to these exchanges. So if you have millions of dollars, are you going to really want to take all the time, make all these transfers to your exchanges and potentially more than one exchange in order to do that and risk putting in the wrong wallet address or something? I've done it before, and you lose all your crypto if you do that. So you have to triple check and make sure the address is right and all that kind of stuff, and then, sweat and pucker your butthole while your transfer is going through to make sure, breathe a sigh of relief once it comes into your wallet on the other side. It can be time-consuming, it can be scary, it can be annoying, and it would just be nice if we had the option, right, on your Tangem wallet to just be able to swipe a card at a store and take profits by purchasing groceries, or I don't know what the spending limit's going to be, which is another thing that I want to see, right? And that, but you can potentially, buy stuff for the house. Maybe your spending limit's enough as long as there's enough money on the card when it verifies that you can purchase a car or a house. I don't know how it's going to go, but it seems like a lot more simple scenario, at least to spend some of your profits, right? You don't have to take all your profits on the card, but it's good as another option, right? If that's easier for you and the fees aren't too bad, and that's the way you want to do it. So, the more options we have, the better. And I appreciate Tangem for trying to do this because, a lot of people are scared to transfer multiple transaction across the blockchain, hoping it gets to the other side and not making a mistake in between. So Yes, JO 1940. I do think that. Remember, Binance has already listed futures, right? And they have their own mining pool. Coinbase listed futures, and the vast majority of the time, if not every time, that somebody gets listed futures, there's usually a spot listing to come afterwards. So I would be extremely surprised if we do not see at least Binance list this cycle. And I've said this before, but I think that, they're businesses and they are going to run their exchange like a business. And what if they would have listed Caspa, before that last correction we had, which was in some altcoins like 90% and some meme coins, right? That's not good business for them. The price went down. They're going to wait until the market turns, I believe. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're waiting for monetary policy to change around so that there's no headwinds in the way. They can list the cryptos and they know the price is just going to go up and up and up. That would make the most sense for them, which is why I try and look into their view of things, right? And what would be the most logical and efficient way for them to operate their business. And smart contracts will help because you're potentially at that point going to get more traction and more users onto Caspa. But I think ultimately it's not just smart contracts. It's going to be monetary policy and when the market turns around again. I think that's the biggest thing. Because you got to look at Cardano last cycle and the cycle before. Big exchanges listed it and it didn't have smart contracts. Up until I think smart contracts launched in this last bear market for Cardano. So I would say market structure and monetary policy would be number one for them, so that as soon as they list, price goes up and there's no headwinds in the way anymore. How much you think in November? That is a good question. If the cycle does end in November, then I would imagine we're somewhere, and we do get our altcoin cycle that we're all expecting. I would imagine somewhere between $1 and $3 would be my my guesstimate. That would give it somewhere between a don't quote me on this because I'm just roughing it, but an 80 to, or maybe a 70 to 100 and roughly a 70 to 100 billion dollar market cap. Okay, and a lot of the top layer ones last cycle were in that range, and the top layer ones in this cycle are, in theory, should go higher than that because we're going to have the overall market cap of the crypto be higher. And so all that does is put Caspa in the range of the top 10, or the top layer ones, I should say, that were in the top 10 last cycle. Okay? And if the top layer ones do more than that this cycle and Caspa ends up outperforming, then it could do even more than that, in my opinion. There's also a chance it does less than that too. I don't know. If I had a crystal ball, then I would already be rich and I probably would not be on YouTube talking. I'd be on a private island somewhere, soaking up the sun and drinking a Mai Tai on the beach. Earl, I got over 1 million Caspa. That is a very nice bag. There is, I don't know what your current situation is, but there is a very high chance that you, especially if you own other crypto as well, you're going to be a millionaire by the end of this cycle. If monetary policy decides to come over to our side. Hopefully at least $3. So, yeah, as of right now, and this is my honest take on it, not just trying to get everybody excited, but I think that $3 might be the top of where we might go. But based on what I said a couple comments ago, there's a chance it goes higher if, it decides to outperform. So, do you have to pay for it? I don't know what that means. Are you talking about the Tangem? Yeah, it'll be. I think it's a separate wallet because it's integrated with Visa, and I wouldn't want all of my crypto in a wallet that Visa has a part in. So the safest scenario, in my opinion, would be you hold all your crypto in your normal Tangem wallet, and then when you're ready to spend some of it, you just transfer certain amounts to the Visa Tangem wallet, and then you can go spend your money. And that way, you don't have all your money in there, where Visa has an idea of what you've got going on. Crypto Rob, wallet number 2 continues to accumulate. Do you think it is Binance? Yes, they do continue to accumulate. I see that almost on a daily basis, and they buy a lot at a time. And also, think about this. Like, if this wallet number 2, I do think there's a high probability that it's Binance. I don't know that for sure, obviously. No one will till it's labeled. But let's just say, for instance, it's Binance. It's probably an exchange. It could be Coinbase. It could be Crypto.com behind the scenes. We haven't heard anything, right? We don't know for sure, but Binance would make the most sense. Do you think that they would be accumulating that much KASPA if they thought the cycle was already over? That's just what I think about. If we were headed into a bear market and altcoins are going to drop 90% from these prices we're seeing today, why would they be accumulating millions and millions of KASPA? It doesn't make sense. So, that's why I always say swim with the whales and you'll make money. You buy when they buy and you sell when they sell. It's that simple. Maybe it sounds more simple than it actually is, but TP Hen, I guess I'm moving to Switzerland. Hey, Switzerland's nice from what I hear. I would love to go visit there, but I don't like airplanes. In my head, there's a million places that I want to go visit, and I can't seem to get myself on an airplane to go to majority of them. Unfortunately, I wish I did not have that fear of flying. Maybe I can get it like, what do you hypnotized out of me? Maybe I'll go to a hypnotist and see if they can take that fear right out of me so that I can go. I think I'm part Swiss too, as far as heritage goes. Anyways, one of my dreams is to actually go snowboarding in Switzerland. That would be amazing. Chances are I'll never make it there, though. Unless my hypnotist is good. It's cheaper to pay taxes in the U.S., or is it cheaper to pay taxes in the U.S. or become a resident of the Cayman Islands, Dubai, Switzerland, pay no taxes, if it's in the millions? Well, TP Hand. Also, you never told me what your name means. Does that mean you're wiping your ass with your hand? I kind of want to know what that means. Or is that just like part of your name? Make sure you tell me that. I am also not a tax consultant or a CPA, and I have no idea what the best route is. Although, I can tell you what I have thought about before, whether this is actually beneficial or not, is to get citizenship in a country that, well, actually, that's what you said there, become a resident of the Cayman Islands. So I've thought about that. I haven't done deep enough research to know. I know sometimes it's hard to get citizenship in certain countries, and sometimes you have to actually physically be there for a certain amount of time before they'll give you citizenship or pay a certain amount of money. So there's a lot of different stipulations involved depending on the country that you want to go to. But if you had citizenship in the Cayman Islands and you had a property there, that is not a bad place to stay for a little while and hang out and potentially vacation, have a second property. Dubai and Switzerland, kind of the same thing. Depends on your cup of tea is where you like to vacation. But, and then you can have dual citizenship, or I think the U.S. actually, and this is why I can't give you advice, because I've heard that the U.S. actually will tax you anyways, even if you have citizenship somewhere else, or try to. So there's a lot you got to figure out there. And I'm probably not the person to give that advice. Visa is smart for partnering with Tangem so they don't become Blockbuster. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a pretty good partnership. I mean, and maybe I'm biased because I love Tangem so much. I don't necessarily like Visa, but, Visa is the, largest payment rail in the real world outside of crypto. And so to me, it makes a lot of sense. And it seems like it's just going to branch both worlds and just make things easier. Because let's be honest, most people want the easiest route, right? They don't want to be transferring money back and forth in the crypto space on blockchain where they don't really understand it, and their money can be lost because there's no guarantee of a third party backing it, from one place to another. And so if they can make something easy for the masses, then they're going to end up winning out when it's all said and done. Earl, I want to pay a new house off with Caspa. So do I. That would be a awesome goal for this cycle. And I hope that when this cycle's over, that I hear from you that you did pay your house off. Although paying your current house off or buying a new house and paying it off. Either way, let me know when it's all said and done because I'm interested to hear. Although I'll probably have an idea because I have a lot of Caspa too. By June, all exchanges have Caspa. Screenshot it. It's a possibility. Like I said, I think it's going to depend on monetary policy or right before. Because they probably know too more than we do. They probably have some people that they talk to that are pretty high up in governments to kind of know when things are going to happen. Wyatt, yeah, ADA just pumped off hype of smart contracts in 21. Release was after bull. Yeah, so that's what I thought. It was the release of smart contracts was in 2022. I remember because I actually played around in that ecosystem a little bit. I got some NFTs and stuff, but it went all the way up to $3 with worse tokenomics and just the promise of smart contracts. Although it did have all of the tier 1 exchanges and you had celebrities talking about it. There was one old school classic rock guy, I can't remember his name, who was always talking about it, and some others. So maybe that had something to do with it, I don't know. Back in black. Crescendo and May 6th FOMC meeting. Perfect timing. Yeah, it correlates literally at the exact same time. So if we get good news on the FOMC, Caspa's potential correction after the upgrade may never happen or might take longer to happen. I don't know. But it is, if we get, negative news, then, we'll all be talking about, oh, well, it's the buy the rumor, sell the news. But the FOMC meeting and monetary policy probably had, part or some part of what happened there as far as price action. Visa is going to get a piece of the pie. They will charge a fee per transaction. We know, 100%. That's why I want to see how much of a fee they charge. If it's something that's stomachable. But, yeah, they're not going into this free of charge. They're going to do this to make money, for sure. They're also a company, which you can understand. They can't do things for free, but let's hope it's minor to where it doesn't affect us all that much on our end. And, based on how many transactions are going to be done, they'll still make money. 1940, wallet number 2 is Michael Saylor. Yeah, I wish. I would probably bet my life savings that that's not Michael Saylor right now. But hey, maybe one day. Maybe one day he gets transformed into a Caspa maxi. Hope we all get rich. Yep. That is the plan. And that is the only plan. Poor boy, I don't like airplanes either. My brother. I wish I liked them. And with the way the planes are going down right now, that does not help the situation. I can tell you that much. Because I see it on the news, and there's a solid chance that might be my worst fear in life, is to go down in an airplane. I wouldn't even make it to the ground. I would die of straight fear as we're falling. So maybe that's better, actually, that I wouldn't have to endure impact. I don't know. Anyways, let's stop talking about airplanes. I hate them. Yeah, Tier 1 exchange is more about volume than anything. Yeah, so that's part of the reason why smart contracts would probably help. But more people need to come into the crypto space too, right? And that'll happen. Monetary policy will also help with that. Okay, we got the final answer here. Tim Paul Hand. Do you have 2 first names? Or is Paul a middle name? I'm just going to call you Hand from now on. Your name is Hand. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, the U.S. will tax you unless you denounce your citizenship. I looked into it. Yeah, and I would imagine most people who live in the U.S. do not want to denounce their citizenship. So even if you move somewhere that doesn't tax you, you're probably still going to have to pay. I don't know if it's a discounted rate if you don't live here, or maybe it's the same rate. So it wouldn't even matter. Unless you're trying to hide things in the Cayman Islands. And I'm not going to advocate for that, but that's your own scenario. There's probably ways around it. Doing great. Loving the greens. Yeah. It's been a while. And let's remember, guys, this pump that we just had, everyone's all excited because it's been red for a while and choppy and boring and frustrating and any other name you can think of. This is literally nothing, right? This is a blip on the radar that won't even show up when we're all said and done. And we're already excited. ADA pumped to $3. But yeah, there is a lot more cryptos this time. That's something that that I always forget to mention. The market is a lot more flooded and crowded than it was. So there's a more importance on picking the right projects, I think. because there's going to be a lot of them that just get kind of hidden under the carpet, right? There's you're gonna have a better chance finding the right projects and sticking to those projects rather than throwing a dart at the wall and hoping it sticks, which is what people did last cycle. So we do have to take that into consideration. Good point. How low, this is a good question. How low do you think Caspa will go down after the cycle? It's very difficult to say because we don't know where it's going to top out at. And that is going to be the measuring point, okay? So once it tops out, there's a lot of people that don't think Caspa is going to drop as much as the rest of the altcoins. And there's a chance that that happens, but it's still an altcoin. It's not Bitcoin, and even Bitcoin drops 80-something%. So at bare minimum, it's going to drop in the 80s percent-wise. I wouldn't be surprised if it drops into the 90s% window in the next bear market. So you're basically taking, I would say, anywhere from 85 to 95% off of whatever it tops out at. And we don't know what that number is going to be yet. And let me say this as well, because Caspa's only been through one bear market. It's never been through a bull cycle yet. And it outperformed drastically last bear market. And it's going to be hard pressed to do that again. Okay? Chainlink did it 2 cycles ago, and it did not do it again. It followed the rest of the altcoin market this last bear market. So that is something we can look at for potentially what might happen to Caspa. I wouldn't, let's just put it this way, I wouldn't bank on it outperforming the rest of the market like it did this next bear market. I think it's going to fall into line roughly with the rest of the altcoin market. It's usually coins that are launched and going through its first cycle that tend to outperform in bear markets. And Caspa will be moving into its second cycle. Okay? So just keep that in mind. I think that there's a bigger chance of it not outperforming next bear market than it outperforming the market next bear market. I hope I'm wrong, but I think that's what's going to happen. Oh man, Hand. I engineer and build airplanes in the PNW. Guess where I work? Is it? I see Curdy Mac thinks it's Boeing. Oh yeah. Yeah, now I'm following the comments down here. So, I'm not even going to ask you any questions because I don't want you to suicide yourself by whistleblowing anything. But at least what we hear in the news, I don't know what goes on behind the scenes. It sounds like they were cutting some corners with their inspections and stuff and products they were using on the airplanes. At least that's what I heard. How many bull run... Sorry, I'm having trouble reading this. How many bull runs have you been in? If so, what's it like for your first time entering the crypto space? So this is my second bull cycle, and it's operating a little bit differently than last cycle. It's just taking longer. But what I will say is if we do get that altcoin cycle, and if we do get the monetary policy to flip around and reverse into a 180, then it will be some of the most amazing and euphoric times that you will ever experience. That I can guarantee you. It is extremely fun during the parabolic stage of the bull run. And I think that this time around, if we get that, I still think we're going to, but I think it's going to be shorter and more violent to the upside, but not last as long. Chirp, I appreciate the super chat. Yes. Yeah, I got a super chat now. I appreciate it, man. So that's good news. It does work. I thought I got it to work on the back end. It's so weird how difficult they make things sometimes. Or maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just dumb and I don't understand technological computer stuff, which is actually probably what it boils down to. I got you in Oklahoma. Bitcoin is the only token that won't drop much this cycle. Everything else will go down 90%. I agree with the 90%. I still think Bitcoin. I know it's got its ETF now, so there's a chance. You know, we haven't seen it with this much mainstream adoption yet, but I still think that. I mean, we're gonna have to see. We thought it had adoption, like even a country adopted it last cycle. El Salvador, I think, right? El Salvador. And, you know, it still went down like 85%. So I'm kind of in the ballpark of I'm going to assume that things are going to do what they've always done until I'm proven otherwise. There's a possibility there won't be a classic deep bear market. Let's wait and see. Yeah, I mean, anything's possible. But like I just mentioned, I'm kind of the camp of I'm going to assume things are going to stay relatively the same based on history until I'm proven otherwise. But at some point, things will change. And, you know, maybe it is this cycle. I don't know. We're going to find out, I mean, fairly soon when it's all said and done. Johnny Taco, so when we all get rich, we will take a trip via plane with Cat. Yeah, you guys will all get together and you guys can drug me. And then wake me up when we get there. And then we'll have a lot of fun wherever the hell we go. That way I don't remember the plane ride at all, there or back. I'd say CAS will drop at least 50%, but definitely could. Yeah, it's going to drop more than 50%. I guarantee you that. I think it's going to follow the rest of the altcoin market. If Bitcoin's not immune of dropping 85%, Caspa's not immune to drop, you know, anything less than that, I should say. So, do you think a balance of Caspa, Sui, and BTC is a good balance for my young daughter? Yes. So, I would say 100% BTC. Not 100% of the portfolio. I mean, 100% you should have a balance of that in the portfolio. I think next up, Caspa should be a multi-cycle coin. We're not going to know that for sure until the years go by. But Sui also is an excellent play for this cycle. I don't know how long I would keep Sui because it's a proof of stake. Is it going to overtake Solana? Would be, the thing I'd be looking at. So, not that I want to give you any financial advice or anything, but I would potentially, at least, if you're going to hold any of these three into next cycle, I would at least take some of the profit out. Because then what you can do is you can buy in at a lower price in the bear market with a bigger chunk of money that you took profits out of this. Sui's in its first cycle, Caspa's in its first cycle. Two excellent plays for this cycle. We have to reevaluate everything in the bear market. We have to make sure that Caspa is still building. We have to make sure that everything that Caspa says they are going to do, they are continuing to do, right? If smart contracts have launched, we have to monitor the usage on the chain, and make sure that people are interested in it still moving forward. Sui, exact same thing. The thing is, it's difficult because typically what I like to do is in the bear market, I like to dump most of my, like for instance, I have a big bag of Sui, and it has now moved up past Solana to my second overall project in my portfolio because of the run it just had. I am going to sell 100% of that towards the peak of this market because I'm not sure Sui is going to be around. Okay, it's its first cycle. They usually do the best gains in the first cycle. So that is my strategy. I would say if you were going to keep multiple projects for, through the bear market, I think Caspa and Sui have a good chance of staying around. I know Bitcoin's going to stay around. Caspa and Sui have a good chance of staying around, but it's not guaranteed, and I would say Sui is the least guaranteed out of the three. But that's just my guess. So I would at least take some profits on this stuff and then reevaluate in the bear market if you're going to keep some of it. And that way you can sell high, buy low, sell high, buy low, and so forth. And get maybe you keep the Bitcoin just the way it is and keep adding. But I would take some profits on Caspa and Sui if I was you. But you don't have to listen to me either. You could do your own thing. It's always a cycle. QT will start up, rates will go up, dollar will get stronger, and crypto will go into a bear. Yeah, of course it will. And what's funny is we haven't even really ended last bear market yet based on monetary policy. Rates have dropped a little bit. QT has slowed down a little bit, but we're still in that phase. So it's going to be interesting to see when it stops, how much longer we have based on previous cycles to go. Got any thoughts on other cryptos like Aether? I've heard of it. I don't know it. I'd have to look into it. But my two go-tos this cycle, I have about 10 coins in my portfolio. Some of them are very small amounts. My biggest holdings for this cycle are Caspa number one. Sui and Solana are pretty close. They're kind of like flipping back and forth between 2 and 3. Bitcoin's number 4, and then there's some smaller projects like I'm a fan of Zeus, which is a Solana token, which is allowing Bitcoin to be moved around on the Solana blockchain. Zeus Network, I think it's called. And then Peak is another PEAQ, is another layer 1 that's doing all real world asset type I guess it's real world asset stuff on chain, and they already have a ton of partnerships and a ton of stuff on chain that's building on top of Peak. And off the top of my head, those are the only ones I can remember. But those last two are lower. I don't have a whole lot of money in them. It's just kind of a Hail Mary, I guess you could say. But remember, layer ones usually do the best. Did you get the Zealous Swap token? And what do you think about Zealous Swap? I did not get the token. They mislaunched and delayed it twice. And it sounds like it went off and actually happened today. Based on what others are saying, I did not get any. I think the token's probably going to do pretty well. As long as Caspa does well, right? And we think it's going to. It's the first DEX. Binance Smart Chain, Pancake Swap, and Ethereum with Uniswap. Both of those after launch did about a 40x. So if you want to give like some sort of rough estimate on what it could do, then, base it off of that. I don't know if I'm going to buy any or not. I might trade out something else that I'm not really happy with in my portfolio for it because it's new and exciting. But I'm not going to put a whole lot of money into it. Wyatt, I just can't justify to buy into POS coins anymore just for me. Yeah. I mean, everybody's got their own investment strategy. If you don't like them, you don't like them. For me, it's just I loved Solana last cycle, and Sui seems to replicate and has the feeling of being the Solana of this cycle, which is why I always this is just me, but I always like to have a little bit of diversification into proof of work and proof of stake. And the reason for that is because the proof of stake coins usually have, at least some of them have big backers. And there was a lot of money allocated to, venture capitalism and all that kind of stuff. And those guys are going to want their money. And so, like I said before, you swim with the whales. You've got a lot of money being invested into projects like Sui, which is my top proof of stake investment this cycle. And I just can't imagine that they're not going to want to pump the hell out of that thing because they're going to get their money. And as long as you sell, once we get closer to the top of the market, right, you're never going to time the exact top, then you're swimming with the whales. You're buying when they buy and you're selling when they sell. And I don't see a project like Sui rugging. I could be wrong, but they seem like a pretty legit team. And I am going to follow the steps of the venture capitalists and the investors in Sui and try and make a lot of money off of them and sell when they sell, right before we go back into a bear market. But I also feel very comfortable because I have... I think it's roughly at like 48% or so of my portfolio in Caspa right now. So, even if a project like that does decide to rug or whatever, half of my portfolio is in Caspa, and I feel very comfortable about that. Tau is also a good project. I like Tau. I was planning on buying some. I want to say it was $10. It was in the depths of the bear market, and I passed. And now I just can't stomach buying at the prices that it's at right now, based on what I was planning on buying back then. Johnny B, I'm new to crypto. My question is, what is M2 money supply? Without getting too detailed, it's basically the amount of money that's being released into the economy. And typically when that goes up, which means money's being released into the economy, I think it's there's a certain amount of weeks after 12 weeks, or is it a couple months or so? I don't remember what it was. Bitcoin usually follows, because that money flows into not just Bitcoin, but other assets as well. Are you still looking for a potential pullback? Buy the rumor, sell the news scenario. Yes, I am. Yes. History tells us that's probably going to happen. Unless we get some major monetary policy reversals. And even then we might have a pullback, but it won't be as bad. And it'll be short, quick, and just go right back up. Or maybe we don't get one at all if that happens. But yeah, I think there's still going to be a pullback afterwards. That would be my base case. Thoughts on USDT Gold? I don't even know. Is that basically Tether pegged to the gold price on a certain blockchain? I'm not even sure I know what that is. I would imagine it would be basically a peg to gold. It wouldn't be a bad idea. The problem is gold moves. Obviously, it's moving right now, so what I'm about to say doesn't actually ring true right at this second, but gold doesn't move that fast. So if it's pegged to the price of gold, I don't know that it's gonna. I mean, I would rather just have regular gold, to be honest. Buy it in jewelry or something, and then you just have gold. But that's just me. I bought 500k Caspa at 5.7 cent dip. Now I'm a shark. Excellent job. Massive win for the CZ? Sezi? All right, guys. We have hit the hour-and-a-half mark. Time flies when you're having fun. So, I am going to sign off. I appreciate everyone being here. I love you all. I will see you again next Friday. And in the meantime, continue to pack your damn bags before it's too late. See you in the next video. Peace out.